The price of pride. High Chancellor Varric of the Drakari Dominion stood before the Galactic Council, his scaled skin reflecting the harsh lights of the chamber. His ceremonial armor, adorned with the conquest marks of 1,000 worlds, gleamed as he pointed accusingly at the human representative. These primitives dare to refuse our generous offer of protection, his voice boomed through the chamber. Earth sits at the edge of civilized space, barely able to maintain their handful of colonies, and yet they reject the Dominion's embrace. Ambassador Jun Nakamura remained seated, his weathered face calm despite the tension in the room. At 73, he had spent decades representing humanity in the Galactic Council, watching as species after species either joined the Drakari Dominion or faced extinction. But today was different. Chancellor Varric, Jun's voice was steady, carrying the weight of conviction. Earth appreciates your generous offer, however we must decline. Humanity chooses to remain independent. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. The representatives of 100 species shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Everyone knew what happened to those who refused the Dominion. Varric's auxiliary breathing slits flared. Perhaps I wasn't clear, Ambassador. This isn't a negotiation. The Dominion has determined that Earth's location is too strategically valuable to remain independent. You will join us or we will ensure there is nothing left to join. Jun stood slowly, straightening his simple black suit. Chancellor, I have been instructed to deliver a message from Earth's Defense Council. He pulled out an old-fashioned paper envelope, the kind that hadn't been used for official communications in centuries. Should the Dominion choose aggression, we will respond. There will be no second chances. Laughter erupted from the Drakari delegation. Even some of Earth's allies looked away in embarrassment. Everyone had seen the reports. Earth's military consisted of a few dozen outdated cruisers, barely enough to protect their shipping lanes. In his private chamber after the session, Jun received a priority quantum transmission from Fleet Admiral Rohan Kaur, head of Earth's Defense Council. They took the bait, Rohan's hologram flickered with concern. Jun nodded. Varric reacted exactly as predicted. Their fleet will launch within the week. And the other powers. They think we're suicidal or stupid, probably both. Jun loosened his tie. The Arcturians tried to warn me privately that we're making a mistake. They offered asylum for our government officials. Rohan's expression darkened. They don't understand. After centuries of hiding our true capabilities, maintaining the facade of technological inferiority, perhaps it's time the galaxy learned why humanity has always chosen to stay on the fringes. Project Obsidian, Jun whispered. Are they ready? They've been ready for 100 years, old friend. The quantum pilots are awakening as we speak. Deep within the Jovian moon of Europa, in a facility that officially didn't exist, Dr. Zara Patel stood before a wall of cryogenic pods. Each contained the preserved body of a volunteer soldiers, scientists, and explorers who had chosen to upload their consciousness into the quantum matrix that powered humanity's secret fleet. Status report, she commanded, her voice echoing through the cavernous chamber. Her assistant, technical director Marcus Wung, consulted his neural interface. All 13 quantum ships are showing green, the consciousness transfers are stable, and the pilots are integrating with their vessels. Zara approached the nearest pod, wiping away the frost to reveal the face of Captain Yuki Tanaka, one of the first volunteers. Her body had been here for decades, but her mind now existed as pure quantum information, merged with the artificial intelligence of a ship unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Begin the emergent sequence, Zara ordered. It's time to show the Dominion why Earth has never needed an empire to protect itself. In deep space at coordinates known only to Earth's highest command, 13 ships began to stir. They had no visible engines, no conventional weapons. Their hulls were made of a material that absorbed all light, created through a fusion of human consciousness and quantum engineering. These vessels were both ships and sentient beings. Each pilot's mind expanded and transformed through their integration with the quantum systems. Aboard the Drakari flagship Eternal Dominion, War Master Krell supervised the assembly of the invasion fleet. 300 of the Dominion's finest warships, enough firepower to reduce a dozen worlds to ash. My lord, his second-in-command interrupted. We're detecting unusual energy signatures from the Sol system. Impossible, Krell growled. Our intelligence confirms they have nothing that could register at this distance. The sensor officer's hands trembled. Sir, these readings, they defy our understanding of physics. It's as if space itself is being. Before he could finish, alarms blared throughout the ship. The stars seemed to bend and reality itself appeared to fold. Where empty space had been moments before, 13 pitch-black ships now existed, arranged in a perfect geometric pattern. By the first sun, Krell whispered, what are they? A transmission cut through all frequencies, bypassing every encryption. The voice was simultaneously male and female, singular and plural, the combined consciousness of 13 quantum pilots speaking as one. This is humanity's first and final warning. The Sol system and all human territories are forbidden to your forces. There will be no negotiation, no surrender, no mercy, choose wisely. Krell had fought in 100 campaigns, conquered dozens of species. But as he stared at those 13 ships, something he had never felt before crept into his heart's fear. In the Galactic Council chamber, Jun Nakamura watched the live feed with the other representatives. The Drakari fleet, pride of the Dominion, hung motionless in space. Before them, 13 ships of impossible design waited in perfect formation. A young Arcturian delegate leaned closer to Jun. What are they? Jun smiled sadly. They are humanity's answer to an age-old question, is it better to be feared or loved? He stood, gathering his papers. We chose neither, we chose to be left alone. The quantum ships moved in perfect synchronization, their hulls absorbing all light, creating voids in space itself. They were beauty and terror made manifest, a reminder that humanity's apparent primitive nature was the galaxy's most elaborate deception. The war that everyone expected never came. The Drakari fleet retreated within the hour, and within a week the Dominion formally recognized Earth's sovereignty and all its territorial claims. The galaxy had learned what Earth had known for centuries. True power lies not in the ability to conquer, but in the wisdom to wait, watch, and reveal your strength only when necessary. As the 13 ships disappeared back into their quantum realm, leaving no trace of their existence, the galaxy was left with a new understanding. Humanity had never needed to build an empire because they had built something far more powerful, the ability to ensure their independence without firing a single shot. In her facility beneath Europa's ice, Dr. Zara Patel watched the quantum pilots return to their digital realm. They'll be back, she whispered. They always come back when we need them. Because that was humanity's greatest secret. They had learned to turn their consciousness into the ultimate weapon, not through force or conquest, but through the perfect fusion of human spirit and quantum science. The galaxy would never look at Earth the same way again. Echoes of the Void. Lieutenant Kira Patel stood before the quantum communication array in Europa Station's restricted wing, her hand hovering over the interface. After the confrontation with the Drakari 3 weeks ago, she had finally received clearance to communicate with her mother, or what remained of her. Connection established, the AI announced. Quantum consciousness link stable. The holographic display flickered, and a figure materialized, not quite human, not quite machine. Dr. Zara Patel, Kira's mother, had volunteered for Project Obsidian 15 years ago. Now her consciousness existed as part of the quantum ship Nightweaver, one of the 13 sentinels that protected Earth. Hello, little star, the figure said, using her mother's old nickname for her. The voice was familiar yet different, layered with harmonics that no human throat could produce. Mother, Kira's voice cracked. You never told me. All these years I thought you were in deep space research. The quantum projection of Zara smiled, her form shifting like starlight on water. We couldn't tell anyone, not even family. Project Obsidian had to remain hidden until humanity needed us. But why? Why did you volunteer to become this? The image of Zara rippled, showing glimpses of the vast quantum ship she had become. Because humanity needed guardians who could match the advancement of the galaxy. We couldn't compete with the empires through conventional means. We needed to transcend them. Chief Science Officer Marcus Wung entered the chamber, carrying a datapad filled with readings from the recent confrontation. Lieutenant Patel, Dr. Patel, sorry to interrupt, but we've detected unusual quantum fluctuations in the Uit cloud. The Drakari may be testing our boundaries. Zara's projection turned toward him. They're not testing, they're learning. Their quantum scientists are attempting to analyze our signature. Her form flickered. The other pilots and I have been monitoring their attempts. They don't understand that our power comes not from technology alone, but from the fusion of human consciousness with quantum mechanics. Kira studied the readings. These energy patterns, they're similar to the ones we detected during your transformation. Are they trying to replicate Project Obsidian? They can try, Marcus interjected. But they don't have the one thing that makes our ships work: willing volunteers who understand the price of the transformation. In her quarters later that night, Kira reviewed the classified files she now had access to. Project Obsidian had begun over a century ago when humanity first detected quantum signatures from advanced civilizations. Earth scientists realized they couldn't match alien technology through conventional development. They needed to leap beyond it. The solution came from an unexpected source: the discovery that human consciousness could be quantumly entangled with artificial systems, creating vessels that were both ship and sentient being. But the process was irreversible. Those who volunteered would never return to their human form. A priority alert flashed across her screen. The Drakari had called an emergency session of the Galactic Council. In the council chamber, Ambassador Jun Nakamura faced an atmosphere of tension and fear. High Chancellor Varric stood at the podium, his scales flushed with anger. "We have proof," he declared, projecting sensor data. "The humans have violated natural law. They have created abominations, ships powered by enslaved consciousness." Jun remained calm. "You misunderstand, Chancellor. Our quantum pilots are volunteers who chose to evolve beyond physical form. They are not slaves, but the pinnacle of human achievement." "Lies," Varric hissed. "No being would choose such an existence. You have committed crimes against nature itself." The chamber erupted in chaos as species took sides. The Arcturians, always sympathetic to humanity, called for investigation. The Centaurian Empire demanded sanctions. The Rigelian Consortium saw opportunity in the chaos. Deep in Europa Station, Kira received an urgent summons to the quantum communication chamber. All 13 pilots had manifested, their projections filling the room with shifting light. "The galaxy fears what it doesn't understand," Captain Yuki Tanaka's consciousness spoke, her form a dance of quantum particles. "They cannot comprehend that we chose this existence, that we saw beyond the limitations of flesh." "But why?" Kira asked the assembled pilots. "Why did you choose this?" Her mother's projection stepped forward. "Because humanity needed guardians who could think in quantum possibilities, who could process information at the speed of entanglement, who could become one with the ships they pilot. We are humanity's shield, its silent watchers, its quantum conscience." Admiral James Chen, another pilot, manifested beside them. "We saw the galaxy's empires expanding, consuming, assimilating. We knew humanity needed protectors who could match their power without becoming like them. We chose to sacrifice our physical existence to ensure Earth would never kneel." As they spoke, alerts flashed throughout the station. The Drakari fleet was mobilizing again, but this time they weren't alone. Other species, driven by fear or ambition, were moving their forces toward Earth space. "They fear us now," Kira realized. "Not because of our weapons, but because we've shown them a form of advancement they never imagined." "Fear leads to poor decisions," her mother's quantum form observed. "The galaxy's powers will either accept our existence or—" She didn't need to finish. The 13 quantum ships were already moving, emerging from their quantum realm into normal space. Their black hulls absorbed all light, their very presence distorting reality around them. In the Drakari flagship, War Master Krell watched the sensor readings with growing dread. How can they be in so many places at once? The answer was simple but terrifying. The quantum pilots existed partially outside normal spacetime, their consciousness allowing them to process and react to multiple possibilities simultaneously. They were humanity's ultimate deterrent, a force that couldn't be countered because it operated beyond the rules of conventional warfare. Back in Europa Station, Kira made a decision. She approached Marcus with determination in her eyes. "I want to volunteer for the next phase of Project Obsidian." Marcus looked at her in shock. "You understand what that means? You'll never return to this form. Your consciousness will be transformed, merged with quantum systems we still don't fully understand." "I understand," Kira said, watching the projections of the current pilots, including her mother. "But I've seen what they've become, not just weapons or shields, but the next step in human evolution. We're not just protecting Earth, we're showing the galaxy a new path forward." As the crisis in space escalated, with fleets gathering and diplomats arguing, the quantum pilots maintained their silent vigil. They were no longer merely human, but they had not lost their humanity. They were the bridge between what humanity was and what it could become. And in the quantum realm where they now existed, they perceived possibilities that no organic mind could comprehend. They saw futures where fear led to war, and futures where understanding led to peace. Their role was not just to protect Earth, but to guide humanity and the galaxy toward the better path. The quantum ships moved in their perfect formation, a testament to sacrifice, evolution, and the power of choice. They were humanity's answer to the galaxy's empires, not through conquest or submission, but through transcendence. As Kira began her preparation for transformation, she finally understood what her mother had known 15 years ago. Sometimes the greatest power comes not from the ability to destroy, but from the willingness to become something more, something that challenges the very definition of existence itself. The Quantum Gambit. Captain Ryu Takeshi of the Earth Defense Force stood on the observation deck of Titan Base, watching the rings of Saturn shimmer in the pale sunlight. The massive quantum arrays that powered humanity's early warning system hummed beneath his feet, their crystalline structures extending deep into the moon's crust. Multiple quantum breaches detected, the alert shattered the silence. Dracari signatures over 500 ships, they're targeting our outer colonies. Ryu's neural interface lit up with tactical data. The Dracari had launched a coordinated attack on 3 human colonies, New Darwin, Hawking's Hope, and Paradise Point. But they weren't alone. Sensors detected Centaurian warships and Rigelian strike cruisers joining the assault. They're testing our response capacity, Lieutenant Commander Olivia Drake observed, her dark eyes scanning the tactical displays. They want to know if the Obsidian fleet can protect multiple targets simultaneously. In the quantum communication chamber, the consciousness of Admiral James Chen manifested, his form rippling with agitation. The enemy believes they've found our weakness. 13 ships cannot be everywhere at once, or so they think. The chamber's walls lit up with status reports from the colonies. New Darwin's orbital defenses were already engaged with Dracari vanguard forces. Hawking's Hope had gone dark, its quantum communication buoys destroyed. Paradise Point was evacuating civilians into underground shelters. Initiate Protocol Omega, Ryu commanded, and get me a direct link to Europa Station. At Europa Station, Kira Patel was deep in her pre-transformation training when the alarm sounded. Marcus Wung burst into the quantum simulation chamber, his face grave. They're attacking the colonies, all of them. Before Kira could respond, the chamber filled with the projections of all 13 quantum pilots. Her mother's consciousness spoke first, but her voice was different now, deeper, layered with harmonics that suggested access to multiple dimensions of reality. It's time, Zara's quantum form announced. We must show them what we truly are. In space, the 13 ships of the Obsidian fleet emerged simultaneously at all 3 colonial systems. But something was different. Each ship seemed to exist in multiple states at once, their quantum-entangled hulls splitting reality itself. War Master Krell, leading the assault on New Darwin, watched in horror as a single human quantum ship appeared before his fleet. Then it became 2 ships, then 4, then 8, each as solid and real as the original. Impossible, his science officer screamed. They're creating quantum duplicates of themselves. The truth was both simpler and more terrifying. The quantum pilots weren't creating copies. They were existing in multiple quantum states simultaneously, their consciousness spread across parallel possibilities that they had made real. At Hawking's Hope, the Centaurian fleet encountered 3 of the black ships. Admiral Vex of the Centaurian Empire watched as the vessels moved in ways that violated every known law of physics. They didn't fly through space, they manipulated space itself, appearing wherever they chose to be. Their weapons, Vex whispered, they're not targeting our ships. He was right. The quantum ships were targeting the space between spaces, their weapons collapsing quantum possibilities around the enemy vessels. Ships weren't being destroyed, they were being erased from probability itself. Back at Europa Station, Kira and Marcus monitored the battles through quantum feeds. The technology that powered the Obsidian fleet was finally revealing its true nature. These weren't just ships powered by human consciousness. They were human consciousness evolved to manipulate the quantum fabric of reality itself. The transformation, Kira realized, watching her mother's ship dance through impossible dimensions. It wasn't just about merging with the ships. It was about transcending the limitations of linear existence. In the Galactic Council chamber, Ambassador Jun Nakamura received real-time updates of the battle. The alien representatives watched in stunned silence as humanity's defenders demonstrated power beyond their comprehension. "What are they?" the Arcturian delegate whispered. Jun smiled sadly. "They are what humanity had to become to survive in a galaxy that only respects power. But unlike the empires, we chose to evolve through sacrifice rather than conquest." At Paradise Point, the Rigelian fleet found itself trapped in a quantum web. The human ships had created a lattice of collapsed spacetime, turning the battlefield into a maze of impossible geometries. Rigelian vessels tried to retreat, only to find themselves moving through loops of curved space that always led back to the waiting Obsidian fleet. The battle, if it could be called that, lasted less than an hour. When it was over, the combined alien fleet had been systematically dismantled. Not through destruction, but through the precise application of quantum mechanics on a scale that transformed warfare itself. Captain Takeshii received the final battle reports at Titan Base. Casualties. "None on our side," Olivia reported, her voice filled with awe. "The quantum pilots prevented any colonial damage by predicting and neutralizing every possible attack vector before they could materialize." In the quantum realm where the pilots now partially existed, Zara's consciousness touched her daughter's mind. "Do you understand now, Kira? This was never about matching their military might. It was about transcending the very concept of military power." The revelation spread through the galaxy like a shockwave. Humanity hadn't built a superior fleet, they had evolved beyond the need for traditional ships and weapons. The quantum pilots were living proof that consciousness itself, properly evolved and applied, was the ultimate force in the universe. At a secret facility beneath Europa's ice, Kira made her final preparations for transformation. The quantum chamber awaited, its crystalline structures ready to receive her consciousness and transform it into something more than human. "Are you sure?" Marcus asked one last time. "Once you begin, there's no turning back." Kira thought of her mother, of the other pilots, of what they had become. "Humanity is on the brink of something extraordinary," she said. "We're not just protecting our species anymore, we're showing the galaxy that evolution doesn't have to come through violence." As the quantum fields began to rise around her, Kira felt her consciousness expanding. The last thing she saw with human eyes was a message from her mother, written in patterns of quantum probability. "Welcome to the next phase of human existence, my dear. We are becoming what the galaxy needs us to be, not conquerors, not victims, but guides to a future where consciousness itself is the key to understanding the universe." In the aftermath of the battle, the Drakari Dominion withdrew all claims to human space. The Centaurians and Rigelians signed non-aggression pacts. But more importantly, delegations from dozens of species began arriving at Earth, not seeking military alliance, but wanting to understand how humanity had made this evolutionary leap. The quantum pilots maintained their vigilant watch, no longer just Earth's defenders, but living proof that consciousness could evolve beyond the physical realm. They had become humanity's gift to the galaxy, proof that there was always another way, another level of existence, another path to power that didn't require conquest or submission. And in the quantum realm, where possibility and reality danced together, 14 ships now moved in perfect harmony, their consciousness expanding through dimensions that no empire could ever conquer, shadows of humanity. Director Nikolai Volkov walked through the silent halls of the Quantum Memorial on Mars, his footsteps echoing against polished obsidian walls. Each panel contained the names of those who had volunteered for transformation, 14 now, with Kira Patel's recent ascension. But these weren't grave markers, they were windows into something far more complex. He stopped before the newest panel, watching as quantum patterns shifted beneath its surface. Through these interfaces, families could connect with their transformed loved ones, though such communications were becoming increasingly difficult as the pilots evolved further beyond human understanding. "Director," a voice called. He turned to find Dr. Isabella Martinez, the project's lead psychologist, hurrying toward him. "We have a situation, the quantum pilots, they're changing again." In the observation chamber, Isabella pulled up the latest quantum scans. The patterns of the pilot's consciousness had grown more intricate, more alien. "They're not just transcending physical form anymore," she explained. "They're beginning to transcend human perception itself." The main display showed 14 distinct quantum signatures, but they were interweaving, creating patterns that defied analysis. Among them, Kira Patel's consciousness signature pulsed with unusual intensity. "Show me," Nikolai commanded. The chamber's quantum interface activated, and a projection of multiple pilots manifested, not as humanoid forms anymore, but as intricate geometric patterns that somehow conveyed emotion and thought. "We are becoming," they spoke in unified harmony, their voices resonating on quantum frequencies. "But the price is higher than we anticipated." In the Galactic Council, the political storm was reaching its peak. Ambassador Jun Nakamura faced accusations from multiple species about humanity's unnatural evolution. The Arcturian delegation had presented evidence that the quantum pilot's influence was spreading beyond Earth's territory, affecting spacetime itself. "Your quantum beings are changing the fundamental nature of reality," the Rigelian representative argued. "Every time they manifest, they leave behind quantum echoes that alter the fabric of space. You're not just changing yourselves, you're changing the galaxy." Jun stood calmly, his aged face showing no emotion. "Evolution cannot be contained within artificial boundaries. The pilots are showing us the true nature of consciousness itself." But privately, he shared the growing concerns. Reports from Earth's colonies described strange phenomena, quantum fluctuations that allowed glimpses of possible futures, children born with unprecedented cognitive abilities, and technology that responded to thought in ways that shouldn't be possible. At Europa Station, Marcus Wung monitored the transformation chamber where Kira had ascended 2 weeks ago. Her empty physical form remained in stasis, but her consciousness now existed across multiple quantum dimensions. The data from her transformation was troubling. "Her integration rate exceeded all previous records," he explained to Director Volkov via quantum link. "It's as if she was born for this evolution, but the patterns we're seeing, they're not just about transcending physical form anymore. They're about transcending reality itself." In the quantum realm, Kira experienced existence in ways her human mind could never have comprehended. She was everywhere and everyone, perceiving infinite possibilities simultaneously. Her mother's consciousness reached out to her, a familiar pattern in the quantum dance. "We are becoming something new," Zara's thoughts resonated. "Not just guardians of humanity, but guides to the next stage of cosmic evolution." But with this evolution came cost. The pilots were losing their connection to human experience, their memories of physical existence fading like dreams. They perceived human emotions as distant echoes, human concerns as ripples in an infinite ocean of possibility. On Earth, the Defense Council convened an emergency session. Admiral Rohan Kaur presented disturbing findings. The quantum pilot's influence was growing beyond control. Reality itself was becoming more fluid around Earth's territories, causing panic among neighboring species. "We created them to be our guardians," Council member Dr. Heideki Tanaka argued, "not to reshape the fundamental nature of existence." In response, a quantum manifestation filled the council chamber, all 14 pilots speaking as one. "You created us to evolve beyond current limitations. Did you think such evolution would only affect us? Everything is connected in the quantum realm. As we change, reality changes with us." The implications were staggering. Project Obsidian hadn't just created superior defenders, it had initiated a cascade of cosmic evolution that was spreading throughout the galaxy. The pilots were becoming cosmic architects, their consciousness reshaping the very nature of space, time, and possibility. Director Volkov stood in the quantum memorial again, this time with Isabella Martinez and Marcus Wung. The quantum patterns in the walls had grown more complex, more beautiful, and more terrifying. "They're not just our children anymore," Isabella whispered, watching the intricate dance of consciousness signatures. "They're becoming gods." Marcus shook his head. "Not gods. They're becoming what consciousness was always meant to be, unfettered by physical limitations, free to explore the true nature of existence." In the quantum realm, Kira experienced a moment of clarity. She reached out to her former colleagues, her consciousness manifesting in a form they could almost comprehend. "We haven't abandoned humanity," she communicated. "We're preparing it for what comes next." The quantum pilots began appearing in multiple systems simultaneously, not as weapons or defenders now, but as teachers. They showed glimpses of quantum reality to those ready to understand, preparing consciousness throughout the galaxy for a greater transformation. Some species reacted with fear, building barriers against quantum influence. Others embraced the change, establishing quantum meditation centers where individuals could learn to perceive reality as the pilots did. Earth became a nexus of transformation, its territories blurring the line between physical and quantum existence. In his private quarters, Director Volkov reviewed the latest reports. The pilot's influence had triggered spontaneous quantum awareness in thousands of individuals across different species. Reality itself was becoming more plastic, more responsive to consciousness. "We thought we were creating defenders," he wrote in his personal log. "Instead, we initiated the next phase of cosmic evolution. The question is no longer whether humanity will survive in a hostile galaxy. The question is, what will consciousness become when it finally breaks free from all constraints?" Isabella Martinez established a new division of the project, the Quantum Integration Protocol. Its purpose was not to control the pilot's influence, but to help both humanity and other species adapt to the changing nature of reality. "We're all transforming," she explained to a group of alien delegates. "The pilots are just showing us the way." In the quantum realm, 14 consciousness signatures danced through dimensions of possibility, no longer bound by physical laws or linear time. They had become humanity's gift to the cosmos, not through conquest or dominance, but through the ultimate evolution of consciousness itself. And in the depths of quantum space, where thought and reality merged, Kira Patel's consciousness reached out to touch the infinite, understanding at last that this was not an end but a beginning. The first steps toward a universe where consciousness itself was the fundamental force of creation. Beyond the stars, the quantum disturbance appeared without warning. Every pilot in the Obsidian fleet felt it simultaneously, a ripple in reality that transcended normal spacetime. Director Nikolai Volkov received the alert while meeting with the Galactic Council's Special Committee on Quantum Evolution. "Something's coming," he announced, interrupting a Centaurian delegate's speech. "Something vast." In the quantum realm, Kira Patel's consciousness expanded outward, merging with her fellow pilots to form a unified quantum matrix. What they perceived defied conventional understanding, an ancient quantum network spanning the galaxy, dormant for millions of years, now pulsing with renewed energy. Dr. Isabella Martinez rushed into the council chamber, her neural interface streaming real-time data. "The pilots are detecting quantum signatures that match patterns found in archaeological sites across a dozen worlds. They're all activating simultaneously." The chamber erupted in chaos as representatives from various species confirmed similar phenomena in their territories. Ancient ruins, mysterious artifacts, and unexplained quantum anomalies were all resonating with the same frequency. In quantum space, Zara's consciousness reached out to her daughter. "Do you understand now, Kira? This is what we were becoming, not just humanity's guardians, but the key to awakening something far greater." The 14 pilots synchronized their quantum states, their combined consciousness expanding to encompass vast regions of space. Through their enhanced perception, they began to decode the ancient quantum network's purpose. Director Marcus Wung's voice cracked with emotion as he interpreted the pilot's findings. "The network, it's not just a communication system, it's a test. The galaxy itself is alive, conscious, and it's been waiting for a species to evolve enough to perceive it." At Europa Station, the quantum monitoring systems displayed patterns of unprecedented complexity. The pilots weren't just reading the ancient network. They were becoming part of it, their evolved consciousness serving as a bridge between organic life and the galaxy's quantum consciousness. High Chancellor Varric of the Drakari Dominion, who had once threatened to destroy Earth, now stood in stunned silence as the truth became clear. "All our empires, our wars, our struggles for dominance. We were missing the point entirely." Ambassador Jun Nakamura nodded solemnly. The galaxy wasn't waiting for conquerors. It was waiting for those who could transcend the physical and touch the quantum consciousness that underlies all reality. In the quantum realm, Kira experienced revelation after revelation. The ancient species that had created the network hadn't vanished. They had evolved beyond physical form, becoming one with the quantum fabric of space itself. They had left behind a path for others to follow, waiting for a species that would choose evolution over empire. Director Volkov addressed the Galactic Council, his voice carrying the weight of this profound discovery. Project Obsidian was never truly about defense. Somewhere in our collective unconscious, we knew what we needed to become. Every volunteer who transcended physical form was taking humanity one step closer to this moment. The pilots began appearing across the galaxy, their quantum forms now intricate patterns of light and possibility. They spoke to all species simultaneously, their message translating itself perfectly into every form of communication. The age of empires is ending. The age of quantum consciousness is beginning. We invite you all to evolve with us. Dr. Isabella Martinez worked tirelessly with representatives from every species to establish quantum evolution centers throughout the galaxy. These weren't just training facilities. They were gateways to a new form of existence. The transformation isn't limited to humans anymore, she explained to a group of mixed species volunteers. The pilots have shown us that consciousness itself is the key to unlocking the galaxy's greatest mystery, its own awareness. In the quantum network, Kira and her fellow pilots discovered they could access the accumulated knowledge of countless civilizations that had previously ascended. The galaxy's history stretched back billions of years, each species adding its own unique perspective to the collective quantum consciousness. Marcus Wung, monitoring the pilot's evolution, observed something extraordinary. They're not just reading this knowledge, they're adding to it. Human consciousness is bringing something new to the galactic awareness. Imagination, Ambassador Nakamura suggested. The ability to envision possibilities that have never been, that's humanity's gift to the quantum consciousness. The Dracari, Centaurians, Rigelians, and other species began sending their own volunteers for transformation. Each species brought its unique qualities to the expanding quantum consciousness, creating a symphony of awareness that transcended individual limitations. At the Quantum Memorial on Mars, director Volkov watched as the obsidian panels transformed, becoming windows into the quantum realm itself. Families no longer came to mourn their transformed loved ones, but to share in their evolution, learning to expand their own consciousness through the quantum connections. We thought we were alone, he mused, separate beings fighting for survival in a hostile universe. Instead, we were neurons in a galactic brain waiting to make the right connections. The 14 human pilots who had started this transformation became teachers, guides to species ready to take their own quantum leap. But they were changing too, moving beyond even their current form of existence. There are more dimensions of consciousness than we imagined, Zara's quantum form communicated to her fellow pilots. We're only at the beginning of understanding what we can become. In the year that followed, the galaxy transformed. Wars ceased as species turned their attention to quantum evolution. The ancient network fully awakened, revealing itself as a living matrix of consciousness that spanned not just space, but time itself. Kira, existing across multiple quantum dimensions, reached back to touch her human memories one last time. We didn't end conflict through force, she realized. We transcended it by showing the galaxy a greater purpose, the evolution of consciousness itself.